question is, how would this have to work? How could AI be a part, and the knowledge that comes from AI, be a part of your life, your daily life? Always aware, always present in some way, but not disturbing you. How would you prefer to communicate? I'm sorry, guys. It's going to follow me around. It's going to haunt me tonight. How would you like to communicate with AI? What would work for you? And there are several ways that we are already doing this, right? We're using apps, the most common form. In apps, we have notifications that can bring something forward, and we have forms and content that responds. And some people really like apps, so let's go there. So, the problem with apps. Well, let's first talk about what's great with apps. Apps are great for content. You can watch video, you can browse web pages, you can play games. If you already know what you want, apps are great. What apps are not so good at is interaction. Basic interaction, yes. But if the interaction has to adapt to who you are and what you are doing, and all the flexibility that we have as people, it's not so great. For example, you may get a post from Facebook and you want to do something with that on Instagram. It's hard to do. You can share, you can copy paste, but these are workarounds. You have to break out of the app model in order to do that. And apps are a bit selfish if you think about it. Apps are usually created by companies who want to protect their data. So the data is in silos. And they like to send you notifications which are not always in your best interest, but in their interest to attract your attention. So another solution is things like Siri and Cortana and Alexa and Google Now. There's many of these services, and there are these companies really all love. Oh dear.
This is not a chatbot, by the way. This is a computer. This is whole intelligent.
All right, recatch my train of thought. The thing is that all of these companies, usually Silicon Valley companies, they are really in love with Star Trek computer. So that they really like to have this idea, or the HAL, you know, that we talk with our computers using voice. And that has some issues as well. It has some benefits. I mean, voice is really flexible. We can have conversations in voice, right? We don't have an interface anymore that binds us. We can talk about anything. But it also means that, well, you see one there, it's really hard to ask a good question to a computer. I mean, there's so much you can ask, and you have to be very complete in your question. If you probably have this, that you ask a question like, during the question because you're still thinking, probably they will solve this at some point, but it's still really a hard problem to solve. Another thing is, you know, it's really hard to talk to your phone in public. Most people don't really do it. I've asked many people who are using these services. They're usually doing that in the privacy of their home. So that's why maybe the Amazon service kind of has a chance, because it's in your own privacy, so your neighbors and your colleagues don't hear you. There's another group of method of communication that's growing a lot, and that's chatbots. And chatbots have no problem. Chatbots have the problems that chatbots also apply to the Siris and the Cortanas of this world. But because they're more private, you don't have this privacy issue as much. But they have the empty paper issue. If you ever try to write an email or store to somebody, that start is really hard. You have to think really carefully about what you're going to say. And these things can do a lot. I mean, who knows all the stuff that Siri can do for you? Right? Do you really know? I mean, that's why you get, when you start it, you get a list like stuff you can say. Right? But it's hard to know all this, and you have to learn it. And it's asking open questions, and we humans don't like open questions. We like closed questions, like, would you like a cup of coffee? Yes, please. What kind of coffee would you like? No? Hard. And we have to type everything, and I'm sorry, but we are really spoiled these days. we like to touch buttons. We like, it's like a close thing. We are used to touch devices, mobile phones, tablets, and clicking buttons, really. And also, this doesn't translate very well to a more mobile world. If you, on a laptop, sure, but on your phone, you don't want to type. And on your watch, you don't want to type at all. So what can we do? Well, actually, there's a more fundamental problem here. The problem is that you have to start it. All these methods of communication, you have to open an app, you have to go there, you have to go to a website, you have to say hi Siri, hi Google. These services don't really know you all that well. I mean, Google Now is working on this, but mostly all of these services don't really know you. I mean, Siri knows maybe who your daddy or your girlfriend is, but that's pretty much it. So you have to go to them. That means this push versus pull, right? This is the old argument. And these are all pull. You have to ask for it. So yeah, you have to take time for them. Why would we accept that? So let's do better. So what do we at 9 Connections think is true app intelligence? True app intelligence is that things come to you, actively presenting simple solutions, close solutions preferably, by understanding you and the situation you're in, or understanding your problem, or understanding what's important to you. Maybe your organization working, all these things. So the more we understand somebody, and you can feel where this is going, AI and machine learning really tie into this, the better we can communicate. And if you think about this, if you accept that this is true, that this is better, then the moment you have to ask an open question, you have failed. That means that you don't know about somebody good enough. To go back to the coffee, if somebody knows that I like to have coffee every morning at 8 a.m., they will bring it to me. Hey, here's your coffee. If I have to ask every time, or I have to go to a Starbucks every time, it's nice that there's a Starbucks around, but I would prefer it being brought to me. So, in order to come to a solution to this, I want to tell you a little bit of the story of how we approach this problem at 9 Connections. And it was like a notification coming in, which is a clue. From a notification to a story. So, what we do at 9 Connections is we have publishers as customers. Most of the big publishers in this country use our service. And we analyze how their articles are doing. We analyze what their audience is doing. And based on that, and machine learning, we say, hey, this article, we predict it's going to do this, so like foresight. Or hey, we look very deep into your network and we say, hey, this is happening. You may want to respond to this. Or if you share this amount of times during the day at this time of the day, you will be more successful online. So we give them like sharing superpowers really. And how do you approach this, all this data that we got? How do you present it to the user? And our first approach is that, I think many companies do this, and it's not a bad approach, it's just to create a really nice dashboard. You see all lots of articles, you see your predictions on how it's going to go up, you already sort it in a way, you see your competitors. And while that is nice, this means that you have to go there, you have to understand how all of this works, and you have to take action. So what we also did is we have a switch. You can turn that switch on, and suddenly we automatically share for you. And we do that using what we know best, and our predictions are pretty good usually, so the customers were quite satisfied with that. But it's very on-off, right? Either you are in control or the system is in control. So we added notifications, and that allowed the social media editor to say, okay, I want to share this. This is interesting, Otto, you should share this. Okay, I'll share this. But it's still quite on-off. It's not really saying much about what's actually going on. It's replacing that person's role in the company. So, the first thing that got us what we think is on the right track is that we have to be assistive. Instead of replacing a job, it's a bit like the the chess analogy?
Centaur.
The centaur, right. Instead of being trying to be the human and trying to do their job, we want to be something they can use and make them more powerful, right? To give them those superpowers. And to do that, instead of telling them, oh, you should do this, we're going to say, this is happening. These things are happening. These are opportunities for you. These are things you can act on. And there's many of these kinds of signals. Right? You should share more often because then you will be more successful. You haven't shared for a while, we say why, etc. So instead of doing a human's job, we assist and we save time. And we give you opportunities you wouldn't otherwise see. However, that gave us a problem because these notifications that we're sending, this is our first app that we wrote that was using, this is actually the old structure, should be a different text here. It said something like, hey, you should share because you haven't shared for a while. But if you look at the real estate here, lots of app, lots of content, which is not really the most important thing here, and very little about the conversation you're having with the system. The system is aiding you after all. And that's because this is an app approach. Right? So we resolved this. We said, actually, once you get a notification, that's a signal that you want to have a conversation with our system. You want to have an interaction with our system. And together, you figure out what's best for you. So we redesigned the app literally as a conversation. And we see it in our starters, right? So, the new version. The focus is on, and don't use text a little bit placeholders, but the focus is on the message. The focus is on the topic. So you are always on topic in this conversation. That's always clear. And actually, as you start scrolling, the topic will always stay inside. So you always know what you're talking about. And you see here, this can have all kinds of information why you're getting this. You're seeing here the content that it's talking about can be multiple things. And then you have some actions. And these can be many actions. And something we recommend you do. And it's up to the user to do something like this. So the focus here is on the issue. Second point is that the choices that we present are clear and optimized. And we use machine learning to determine what we show them. And that is dependent on the user, that's dependent on the situation, that's dependent on the content, that's dependent on the time of day. There can be lots of factors that we can tie into this. And based on that, we have a closed question. And that's actually a closed action almost. Of course, we can also ask questions here. You can even ask for a text or a title or something, but that's always a closed question. Another benefit is that we can actually change the flow of the conversation based on the user feedback. So you should see this more like if you're calling a help desk and they have a script of how they talk with you. But instead of having just a script, they have like augmented reality augmented system AI on the other side. They are like the centaurs, and they have some extra information there that lets them determine which option they should present to you first. And then they can go through a whole tree of options with you. So for example, I want to change the picture. Okay, change the picture. And what is the title? Would you like to present in a certain way? You can ask all kinds of questions. And the next time you show this information, we can actually display different information. If we notice that every time the user wants to change a picture, and that's the first option there. Another nice thing about the conversation is you can come back to a conversation. To say that we send a notification, hey, this article is doing really well. We predict it's going to be really massive. You should share this now. So the user goes there, says, all right, I share this. And then we could ask, hey, would you like to stay informed? Or it could already determine that you would like that because you wanted that before. Sure. But later on, you're just minding your own business. Later on, you get a notification that says, hey, there's an update on your article, it's doing really well. Tap it, you go back into the conversation, right to the place where you were the last time. You see the updated information. And then you, of course, can continue the conversation if you wish to. You could take action on that. Another nice thing is that since all of this is on our servers, these conversations can be shared. So this notification could go to multiple people, and multiple people could be responding to it. And we can put their face there. And there could actually be multiple systems behind it that giving your messages as well, right? It's quite free form in that sense. So multiple people could also add comments to this, and it can be a collaborative thing if you want it to be. So what does that mean? I hope that, thank you very much. I think you're saving me. 2 minutes, all right? It solves a bunch of issues that we all have in general. So aside from us, it breaks through app rules. You can have a conversation that uses different apps for different features. So the focus is on the topic, not about in which app it is. You don't have to learn any new interfaces. You already know it. You learn one interface, you know it. So the app fatigue problem of the App Store, you can bypass that. Well, I think we already saw that I'm a little short on time, but it adapts to your needs and become aware and assistive. And of course, in the background, the things that were talked about earlier are going on, right? You have an AI system and other systems that are working in the background to feed this system. So finally, this fits, I think, into a trend. The trend is we all started, or maybe some of us started with computers that were really simple, black and white screen or green and black, and you just had to enter text. Then we got user interfaces, Windows, Mac, and we were able to use a mouse, click around, and that was a lot more useful for lots of people. We got the touch interface on our phones, and suddenly grandma and the kids can also use a computer. All those barriers are dropping, but they're still focused on where you still have to adapt, right? The amount of adaptation we have to do to work with a computer gradually goes down. And the next step is that the computer actually thinks from our perspective.
One more minute.
Okay. So the future is topic first. The future is you first as the user. And finally, what would this be on iOS or Android? Say that we look a little bit into the future. You will get a notification. And this is an option, right? But you tap on that notification, you still open, say, your Facebook message. If you drag down on the notification, instead of having just two options, you will start a conversation like that. And other apps can then chime into that conversation. And your phone is the one who controls what's beneficial to you, which messages, which options are shown to you. And it optimizes, it keeps optimizing this as you use your device. And across devices. So it democratizes apps and services. It flattens them. No longer do you only have 6 apps on your phone because that's the only ones you want to learn. Every app that adds features and things you want to use, you can install them. And finally, what really happens then is that this linking, this smart linking, this linking based on you and what you need in a certain context, that makes conversations the new hyperlink.